This is Claire B, Knife Only. And it's the greatest fucking Resident Evil speedrun of them all. In my opinion. In general, the RE2 Remake speedruns are among some of the best in the series. Easy enough for new players to jump into and start having fun right away, but also extremely difficult at the highest level, offering plenty of depth in its movement tech and boss fights, making it a rewarding speed game to master. Among the most challenging categories of RE2 Remake is Claire Knife Only. This run has it all: a super knife, fun movement tech, and some killer boss fights. The rules are simple. It's knife only. That means no other weapons, not even sub-weapons like the stun grenades either. If you've ever played this game, you might be thinking that's kinda crazy. Knives have a limited durability and they will break, which not only costs you the knife, but it also leaves you vulnerable for a few seconds, while Claire rethinks her entire life. Tracking your durability and swapping between knives before they break is important. Damaged knives can still be used to escape grabs, but to survive a full knife-only run, we have to do this strategically. There are only 10 knives in the game, and only 7 or 8 that speedrunners will actually grab during the run. The others are kind of out of the way. They're too slow to grab, and we want to go fast. Which is why we're also going to be doing this entire run in caution.
Are you serious?
Claire actually runs faster in caution thanks to this stumble in her run animation. It shaves a few minutes off the total time when compared to Leon, so we're gonna need to be one bite away from danger at all times. In A scenario, we take damage from this zombie during the intro, and since the B in B scenario stands for badass, we're taking damage from a licker instead. Jokes aside, the second scenario does ramp up the danger. There are more zombies, less safe areas, and Mr. X is here from the start. To clear the game, we're gonna have to get past X and the R.P.D, survive the toxic sewers, and finally, make our way out of the Birkin boss gauntlet in the labs. We have to do all of this, again, in caution, with the knife. It's a pretty thrilling run that never really lets up. That's most of the basics out of the way. We'll cover some more tech and strategies throughout the video. For now, let's jump into a new game, Claire's second run on standard 120 FPS. The run starts outside the R.P.D, with one of the most toxic intros in the entire series. It may not seem too bad on the surface, but trust me, run this game a few times and you'll understand just how mean these zombies in the intro can be. Their positioning is totally random, and dodging them can prove difficult since they're often grouped together. And because we're taking a hit from a licker later for our speed boost, we would prefer not to take too much damage here. With some good movement and maybe a blessing from the RNG gods, we can enter the first R.P.D segment, where we have a few main objectives. We need to get into caution for the speed boost, get a good setup for the library, and collect the 3 medallions that'll take us into R.P.D 2. After pulling the first knife out of the wall near Elliot, we make our way through the west wing of the police station, using Quickturns to blast through corners quickly. This is an essential piece of movement tech that will save you minutes throughout your run. To do it, run forward, tap aim, and while the crosshair is on the screen, you let go of forward and quickly hold the direction that you're turning instead. If done correctly, you should turn 90 degrees in a quick fashion, hence the name. You can also do this without aiming by just letting go of forward and switching to left or right to make your turn. It's really easy to get stuck on doors in this game, so this method is super useful because it quickly slams your character through them without resistance. Quick turns are most helpful in hallways that have multiple turns, and they can even be used to dodge attacks or reposition yourself in certain situations. Right now though, we want to get hit so that Claire can gain access to her speed boost. So we take intentional damage from this licker to put Claire into caution. That's our first R.P.D 1 objective complete. And now Claire needs to make it to the west stairway to gain access to the library. In order to get there, we'll need to slip past a few annoying zombies on the way. Since we can't rely on the handgun to stun them, Claire needs to shimmy the zombies like you would in Resident Evil 1 Remake. This is a common strategy that we'll be using for all sorts of enemies throughout the game, and it's an absolutely essential skill needed for completing a knife-only run. Dodging zombies can be extra tricky on stairs though. Leon and Claire have a slower animation that plays when they're going up or down stairs. But by tapping aim with a good rhythm, we get this small stumbling forward animation that we can chain with aim cancels to maintain our speed. It's much faster than running upstairs the normal way. Stair skating is a speedrun trick that has been around RE in one form or another for quite some time now, so it's pretty cool to see it here. And we can get around the dreaded stair zombies by using stair skating combined with our dodges and quick turns. This is another reason that runners will use the aiming quick turn method. It lets you control the exact position that you stop, and it's especially good when turning into a staircase, because we're already tapping aim to start the stair skating immediately. This clip from GDQ, featuring God tier knife runner Crazy Gaming Days, showcases all of this tech in a single interaction. We see the quick turns, the shimmy dodge, and even some pause buffering to identify a toxic zombie that's camping a door. And in case you didn't notice, he's doing all of this on a guitar controller.
Excellent! That was so smart, dude. That was so smart.
The pause buffer strats.
Yeah.
Pause buffer helps so much.
We love the pause
Look at
buffer.
and the dodges too. That's game knowledge that you just saw, everyone. That was really good game knowledge.
It's insane. After making it past the stair zombie, we need to use the detonator to gain access to our first medallion puzzle. There are 3 of these puzzles, and they'll always have the same solutions, but the starting position of the dials that you need to turn are randomized. So runners need to react to their positions if they want to solve the puzzles quickly. Once the detonator is set, we hurry over to this door for our first cool speedrun trick. Anyone playing this game casually should definitely just learn this one. Normally, the explosion causes this bookcase to fall over and block the door, trapping Claire in this room with some less than friendly individuals. But simply opening this door here before the explosion will prevent the bookcase from ever falling over, allowing Claire to stroll out of there carefree after collecting the medallion. Next up is the library, which is home to one of the most toxic zombies in the run. This zombie is so notorious for causing resets thanks to her awful RNG. The community has nicknamed her Meet Eleanor. Among the worst RNG that you can get for her is when she's camping the ladder, because Eleanor can easily just grab you when you're trying to move the bookshelf. We need to slide the bookshelf 3 times total to create a bridge above that we can cross. Missing out on this first slide here means that later during the R.P.D 2 segment, Claire will need to move the bookshelf all 3 slides at once. And that's bad news, because Mr. X will be chasing us in the library at that point, and he's more than happy to assist Eleanor in ruining our day. If we're even just slightly too slow, he's gonna give it to us. No matter what Eleanor RNG that you get, we need to grab our second knife before collecting our second medallion. After that, we can just leave the library and grab our third and final medallion. Now that we have all 3, we can use them to gain access to our first boss fight of the run, as we bring R.P.D 1 to a close. Hold on to your butts though, because things really start to ramp up in R.P.D 2. Starting with the first form of William Birkin, otherwise known as G1. This boss is pretty simple actually, and it really just comes down to how you position Claire in relation to Birkin. Birkin acts as your dance partner, if you will, and we need to follow his lead, rotating with him to make sure that our knife is making as much contact with his hurtbox as possible. The knife in Resident Evil 2 Remake is easily the strongest normal weapon in the game, especially on higher frame rates. This is because the damage is tied to keyframes in the knife swinging animation. The more frames you have the knife connect, the more ticks of damage that you get. It's pretty OP, and Claire's swing in particular is very good. It travels at a wider angle than Leon's does, covering more space and landing more ticks of damage. The result is absolutely devastating for our pal Birkin here, and he goes down in a matter of seconds. With our first boss out of the way, we continue into the parking garage of the R.P.D. And things start getting pretty spicy here. We need to finish that library puzzle while Mr. X and Eleanor do their best to kill our run. And let's not forget the small matter of rescuing Sherry, who was just kidnapped by Chief Irons. First things first though, we need to pass through the infamous double liquor room and get the diamond key so that we can escape the parking garage. Lickers are a fast, super aggressive enemy in this game that can land some really cheap hits if you aren't careful. Hell, even if you are careful, they can just get your ass. To get through this room unscathed, we need to run some pretty clean lines. Once we reach the morgue, Claire needs to pull out this body to find the key. Normally, this zombie will spring to life once you do this, because of course he does, but speedrunners found that you can pull the body out like 90% of the way, just enough to be able to grab the key without waking up the zombie. With the key secured, Claire needs to run back through the double liquor room. Luckily, there's a pretty cool trick to this one that makes it pretty consistent. Lickers in this game behave differently when you look away from them. So by looking to the left and just running past the lickers, their attacks usually whiff, allowing Claire to escape the room unharmed. We use the same trick once more, this time moonwalking down the hallway to avoid the surprise liquor grab. This whole look away strat is pretty common now in RE Engine games, with similar strats showing up most recently in Requiem and Pragmata. With the lickers behind us, we re-enter the R.P.D. through the chief's creepy office. From here, Claire needs to collect some key items, the heart key and the large gear, which we need to use to solve a puzzle later if we manage to make it through the library alive. As I mentioned before, the library can be a complete disaster depending on the enemy RNG that you get. Looking at you, Eleanor. After Claire puts out the fire from this crashed helicopter, Mr. X makes his scripted appearance. We can avoid him by lining up with this wall to keep our distance. Aiming at him will manipulate X to do this lunging attack, which we can easily dodge by running forward. But X is still committed to giving it to us unfortunately, and he'll be pursuing Claire as she executes more precise movement back through the west wing to collect the jack handle tool for the library puzzle. This stretch of the run is kind of a nightmare. There's plenty of zombies that can just be in your way, so I hope you practice your shimmies. There's also another licker that we need to try to dodge by running to the left and then cutting to the right at the last second to avoid his slash. Plus, if we're just straight up unlucky, X and/or Marvin can cut us off at the office store on our way back, forcing Claire to dodge before heading to the library to see what kind of Eleanor RNG she gets. Woo! There are a lot of ways that the library can just go sideways, but if you do finally make it to the library, that's when things get really tense. We're pretty much at the mercy of Eleanor. If she's nice, she won't be near us as we push the shelves together. If she's not nice, and she's usually not nice, then she'll be blocking our way in one way or another. And of course, X can always just show up as well. Once the shelves are pushed together, we can cross them like a bridge and use that large gear from earlier to solve a quick puzzle that gives us one of two electronic pieces. Then it's just a matter of YOLOing past this zombie to collect our third knife in the storage room after grabbing the second electronic piece. With both pieces in our inventory, we're free to grab that garage key card from the chief's office and finally escape the R.P.D. That was a really stressful section, but the nightmare of Eleanor and the library is finally behind us. And it's time for a well-deserved break. There really isn't much to say about the Sherry section. It's a scripted segment that more or less plays out the same way every single time. Once you know where you're allowed to stand without being detected, it's pretty chill, honestly. Plenty of time to mentally prepare for the next toxic part of the run. Before Claire heads to the orphanage to rescue Sherry and ultimately end up in the sewers, she first has to deal with this totally free, easy breezy section. I would say that clean movement is enough here, and when it comes to the part with Mr. X, that's true. But man, I'm not gonna lie. Even with clean movement, these dogs can just be straight up rude sometimes.
I'm in the bus! I'm in the bus! I'm in the bus! I'm in the fucking...
We just need to do our best to avoid the dogs, shimmy the zombie on the bus, and enter the orphanage. When Claire finally does find Sherry, they're chased into the sewers by Birkin. Claire outruns Sherry so much here that the game freaks out a bit and repeats her dialogue.
Keep going! Go, go, go!
Probably to make sure that Sherry can hear her all the way back there.
Sherry? Don't stop!
Yeah, I'm sure she'll be fine. We are now in the third part of the game. The sewers are a pretty short section, but it's really toxic. Our main objectives here are to grab this T-bar tool in order to gain access to the 3 chest-themed plugs, and then we can have our rematch with Birkin, rescue Sherry, and get to the labs. It's easier said than done. There is, of course, one slight problem. It's not this guy camping the stairs. We can actually spare one of our damaged knives here to get past him if we need to. It's actually this guy, the G-adult. Well, not this one specifically, he's actually pretty free. But his friends that we're about to meet after grabbing the rook plug upstairs are definitely a problem. G-adults are massive, poisonous creatures that use a moving grab attack with range that would make Zangief jealous. They are very annoying, and because this is knife only, we can't rely on the spark shot or the handgun to get past them, making this next run through the sewers one of the most stressful rooms in the entire game. Getting poisoned is just a major time loss of around 30 seconds or even more, and it pretty much costs you your entire run. So we need to make sure our movement is super precise as we shimmy the first G-Adult lurking in the water here. Then we immediately have to start running at an angle towards this wall before the approaching G-Adult can cut us off. You should probably just expect to burn a knife here, because this G-Adult is almost always going to grab you. He's just super mean like that. Once we get by him though, we're still not done yet. There's another G-Adult dropping in on the right, and because this room isn't bad enough yet, a zombie emerges from the water at the end just to make things extra toxic. This party's getting crazy. We can hook around him or go for a shimmy before getting the hell out of there, but we have to be careful not to move too far to the right too soon, because that third G-Adult will booty bump Claire, alley-ooping the water zombie for a free grab every time. If we manage to get past this though, the first half is done. From here, Claire needs to execute some quick turns and fast menuing to solve this puzzle. Once we do, we can grab the remaining 2 chest pieces needed to gain access to the boss. We have to deal with those G-Adults again on our way back out though. There's a bit of RNG involved in the positioning of the creatures and the attacks that they'll do here. In a perfect situation, the dodges might look like this. For my playthrough, I got lucky and had the G-Adult spit out his little hellspawn minions. This is actually what we want to happen pretty much because it gives Claire a free pass. If the G-Adult goes for another grab instead, we need to bait it and dodge it like usual. Of course, the zombie can always just ruin your dodge if he's in a bad spot, so good luck.
Where is this zombie going? I guess it doesn't matter. Oh!
We have one more G-Adult to dodge before reaching the escape ladder. A reliable strat here is to just hop up on this platform for a moment before jumping back down at the perfect timing to dodge the G-Adult and the zombie at the same time. You can time this visually or use the screech of the G-Adult as a sound cue for when to jump back down. Just avoid jumping down too early or that lingering grab hitbox will still catch you. With that dodge complete, we can finally breathe a sigh of relief, at least for a moment. After completing the chess puzzle, by of course replacing the bishop with the queen, placing the bishop in the next slot, replacing the knight with the king, placing the knight across from the king with the rook in it. Holy shit. Yeah, it's a fun little exercise in quick menuing. After completing the chess puzzle, it's time for the second boss fight with Birkin. After flipping a few switches, Birkin shows up and starts attacking from the ceiling. Luckily, Claire can avoid the damage by standing here and knifing the Birkin hand when it appears. After a few slashes, he'll tear down the door, and we can run past him to the platform where the real boss fight takes place. For this fight, we need to press this button to move the container. We run into this corner of the container as it's leaving to bait the attack from Birkin. You can get a ton of damage in by baiting the jump attack and then stunning him. After grabbing another knife and then slashing him for a while, Claire takes a break to catch her breath and presses the button again to recall the container. If you've done enough damage, the container will knock him off of the platform and end the fight in one cycle. On 60 FPS, you won't be able to get enough damage in time, so the strat is a bit different and requires you to hit him twice with the container. Now that Birkin is definitely dead for real, we can go rescue his daughter and use her ID wristband to get into the Umbrella Labs. This is the final area of the game, otherwise known as Nest. It's a quick area with some of the deadliest enemies and bosses waiting to kill our run. Our main objective here is to find a vaccine to save Sherry, who was infected during the sewer segment. First, we need an upgrade for our wristband so that we can gain access to the rest of the lab. So we make our way to the cafeteria, where we grab knife number 5 in the kitchen, before collecting our first upgrade chip for the ID wristband. This will give us access to the east wing of the lab. This part of the lab is in desperate need of some Roundup, and we'll need to synthesize some herbicide solution to clear a path to get our next ID upgrade. But standing in our way is a new enemy type, spawned from this weed infestation, the Ivy. These guys are scary. They have 2 attack animations, one slow short grab and one fast one that travels further. If they land a grab, Ivies will instant kill you unless you spend a knife to break free. This makes dodging them with shimmies extra risky. Since getting grabbed means losing a knife, Ivies can kill your run, because you need about 4 knives for the upcoming boss fight. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. First, we need to solve a quick puzzle to create that herbicide. The solution in B scenario is really easy to remember. It's just blue, red, green 3 times, or 3, 2, 1 if that's more your speed. Next, we need to dodge past an ivy and head downstairs where we can cool the solution in the freezer. This room and these liquors are extremely toxic. You know, a lot of things in this speedrun are pretty toxic actually. Much like the library and the sewers, this is where many runs come to die to bad RNG. Zombies can block your way, and since dodging them opens you up to a liquor attack, it's actually sometimes better to just take a grab and burn a knife to escape, if you have a knife to give. That's because after being grabbed, the enemies go on a bit of a cooldown and won't attack you right away, which kind of lets Claire get through the room a bit easier, but she'll definitely need to grab this extra knife in the server room, which means spending more time down here with the liquors. So ideally, you would rather have a clear run down the hallway and just try to get past the liquors and zombies without being grabbed. Now that our weed killer is cold enough, we climb back up to the greenhouse to take care of the ivies. There is a chance that one is going to be waiting for us when we get off of this ladder, and since dodging here is slow and risky, we're gonna have to stun it by slashing one of its weak spots instead, which is still pretty risky, but at least it looks cool. I mean, assuming you don't miss like I did. Once we use the herbicide, the weeds are gone and the ivies take a little nap, allowing Claire to grab the ID wristband, which for some reason wakes up the ivies, because of course it does. Hopefully the ivies don't give us any trouble and we can escape the lab, though we will have to slash another ivy on our way out. But after that, we unlock the west lab area, and it's all smooth sailing until our next boss.
Hell yeah. Got it. Trust me. This ends now.
This is G3, my favorite boss in the entire game, especially on knife only. It's not that it's easy, but it's a lot of fun to go for a quick kill in this fight. To do this fight well requires perfect knife accuracy and precise movement and spacing. We need to burst all 3 eyes to stun Birkin and expose his main weak spot on his chest. As the fight begins, Claire runs forward a few steps to meet Birkin in the center before slashing the eye on his left leg until it bursts. After maximizing our greed and taking a few extra slashes, we need to bait out this slam attack. Doing this will leave his shoulder eye exposed. For max speed, you want to burst the shoulder eye here, and if you position Claire correctly, you can actually hit this eye and the back eye at the same time. Otherwise, you'll have to bait the slam attack again. As soon as that eye is destroyed, immediately circle to his back for a small chance at his final eye. The angle and spacing needed to hit this eye is really precise. Plus, you only have a split second to land an attack here. It's very difficult. If you miss, you can either bait the slam attack again or burst the eye when Birkin goes to throw lab gear at you. Either way, once the weak spots are all broken, Birkin will be stunned, and this is where we need to try to finish him. You get some really juicy knife hits here by standing behind him and aiming down a bit. The knife is hitting so many times here you can actually hear the damage. After swapping through 3 knives and circling around to slash the main weak spot on his chest, Birkin will enter his final phase, where he emits a bunch of steam before throwing a wall at you. If he makes it this far, it gives you a bunch of free hits to finish him off. However, this is slow, and if you're fast enough, you can skip this part entirely with a quick kill during that initial stun phase. But again, it's really hard to pull this off. I actually only had 3 knives during my recording, so despite getting a quick kill setup, I just ran out of knives. Instead, I'll show you the quick kill as performed by Nick's Issues, the god tier speedrunner that I actually learned this strat from. With G3 defeated, it's pretty much a straight march to the finish line from here. The only thing standing in our way is Birkin. Again.
For fuck's sake, how the hell are you still kicking?
I know, Claire, I know. After grabbing another knife in the monitor room, we deal with some ivies by getting rid of the leftover knives from G3, if you have any. If you're low on knives here, Crazy Gaming Days actually has a backup strat where you just climb that ladder and wait it out. Either way, after enough time, Sherry unlocks the door for us, and we can start the boss fight with G4. First, Birkin will initiate the fight by crashing down onto the platform, so we need to just position ourselves out of the splash zone. Once he jumps, Claire can move in and immediately begin popping the eyes. One down slash followed by an up slash should do. Then just wait for the eyes to respawn and repeat while moving backwards. You need to keep a bit of distance to have a better chance at popping the eyes. Birkin will throw a bit of a tantrum at this point, which we can dodge by running forward and waiting here at this light by the train. Once he's finished with his tantrum, you want to pop the eyes again before dodging the quick attack. If you're lucky, Birkin will move close to the train car. If he moves closer to a wall, he's probably going to climb it, which is really slow. As long as you keep him near the train and away from the walls, Claire can make quick work of G4. Once he enters the final phase, it's basically over. You just need to wait until he slows down to a crawl and deliver the final blow. The nightmare is finally over. Except it's not. This is B scenario, remember? I'm pretty sure the B actually stands for Birkin, because he shows up one last time for the true ending. We can pick up our final knife here before moving into position. Spacing matters the most in this fight because G5 will instant kill you if he gets too close. This fight can be pretty scary because of that, especially in a speedrun at the very end of the run. It's not hard to imagine what it would feel like to lose a run to this fight. To avoid disaster, you need to keep a healthy distance, moving in and out of range for your knife to land. And after about 20 slashes, we retreat back a bit to avoid being eaten. At this point, the strategy remains the same. We're going to keep attacking as much as we can before retreating back to our final position. You can usually get around 12 or 13 attacks in here if you're fast. If you can't count that high, you can use Claire's dialogue as an indicator like I do. Once she's done talking, it's about time to move. After retreating back for a final time, Birkin reveals his big eye weak spot. Say a little prayer and slash away. If you've landed enough hits leading up to this point, you should be able to defeat Birkin just in time. Finally killing Birkin, riding off into the sunset, and hopefully getting a new PB. GG. And that concludes the best Resident Evil run ever. At least for my money. RE2 Remake is just a great game to speedrun in general, especially if this is your first speed game ever. If knife only isn't your thing, there are a ton of other great categories for you to try out. So dust off your copy or pick it up on sale and give it a run sometime. If you want more knife only action, check out this video. And let me know what Resident Evil speedrun that you like the most in the comments. And I'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.